This is section 3.5, higher derivatives. Now, if you've already read through this section, you'll see that it's not too hard. If you want to find the first derivative of a function, you just take the derivative like we've been doing. And if you want to find the second derivative of a function, you take the derivative of that derivative, and you'll get the second derivative. And you can go on and on forever and ever. So let's get through this example problem. This is number 25 in your book. It's asking for h double prime of 1, or the second derivative of the function when w equals 1, and it gives us this function here, h of w. All right, before we find our derivative, let's look at this function and see what derivative rules we'll end up using. So looking at this function, I see that I have the product of two different functions, rad w and e to the w. And remember, if I have the product of two functions and I'm finding their derivatives, I use the product rule, which tells me I do the first times the derivative of the second plus second times the derivative of the first function. All right, so now I'll use product rule. Another rule I need to use is my e to the w rule, or e to the x. Remember, the derivative of e to the variable, w or x, whatever it is just the same thing, e to that same variable. Okay, so let's go through this problem. So it's asking for the second derivative, so I'm going to find the first derivative. H of w is equal to, I'm going to rewrite this rad w as w to the 1/2. So it's easier to see how to take the derivative of that function. Okay, so my first derivative of h to the w, using my product rule, I have my first times the derivative of the second. Remember, my second is just e to the w, plus my second times the derivative of the first. The derivative of w to the 1/2 is just bring the 1/2 down, subtract 1 from the exponent, I get 1/2 w to the negative 1/2. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing and find my second derivative. So second derivative, I use all the same rules, it's just a little bit longer now. So of this first part, I'm going to use my product rule, and I get my first, which is w times 1/2, times the derivative of the second, just e to the w again, plus my second times the derivative of the first. I do the same thing, bring exponent down and subtract 1, plus now my derivative of the second part here. And I use the same product rule again. I have my first times the derivative of the second. This time I bring down a negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 times positive 1/2 gives me negative 1/4, w to the negative 3/2 when I subtract 1, plus my second times the derivative of the first. Derivative of e to the w is just e to the w. Okay, so here is my derivative of this first part. Here's my derivative of the second part. And from here, you could go ahead, simplify like terms, combine things, but I'm just going to plug in 1 into my h double prime because that's what they're asking for. I'll skip some simplifying steps. So you plug in 1 into your function wherever you see a w. I'm actually going to skip this part too, and I'll just tell you that when you plug in 1 wherever you see a w, you combine all your like terms, you get 7/4e as your final answer. And that's it for this problem. I hope you found this video really helpful. The concepts covered in this video are true no matter what calculus class you're in, but all the sections and problems I referenced were from this textbook right here. And remember that if you're a registered Baylor student, we offer free tutoring on the first floor of Sid Rich. You can either schedule a one-on-one appointment online or just drop in whenever you're available during our business hours for free tutoring. For more information, feel free to visit our website.